Hi, welcome to HSE Kerala. Today we are gonna spend some time on the topic risk assessment. For managing health and safety in your workplace, we need to understand and control the risk. For that you must know what are the hazards and what precautions are taken to prevent any harm. Risk is the likelihood that a hazard will cause harm in combination with severity of injury, damage or loss that might foreseeably occur. Risk assessment can be described as a 5-step process. Step 1. Identifying the hazards. Step 2. Decide who might be harmed and how. Step 3. Evaluate the risk and decide on precautions. Step 4. Record your findings and implement them. Step 5. Review your assessment and update if necessary. Okay, now let's start with identifying the hazards. This process is to identify all the significant hazards associated with the work. You must be wondering what hazard is. Hazards are something with the potential to cause harm. Hazards are broadly classified into physical, chemical, biological, ergonomic, psychological. Okay, now let's go through some of the hazard identification methods. First, it is inspections. Inspections are used to find out the various hazards that needs to be considered in risk assessment. Then it's task analysis. It is breaking down a job into component steps and identifying hazards associated with each step. Manufacturer's information. While coming to plant and equipment, a clear instruction book will be provided on the purchase of machinery or equipment. This contains the operating procedures, maintenance instructions and all about the related hazards. Legislation. We need to have the idea about legal standards that are applied in workplace for identifying hazards. Incident data. For assessment, records of internal accidents and near misses are considered. This helps to identify the hazards easily. Now let's see who might be at risk. It includes workers, maintenance staff, contractors, visitors, members of public, vulnerable persons. Now let's see how to evaluate the risk and decide on precautions. For this, break down risk into 2 component parts and define each separately. That is, risk equals likelihood times severity. Have you heard about residual, acceptable and tolerable risks? After all the control measures are taken, if there is any risk remaining, then it is called residual risk. If residual risk is low, then it will be called as acceptable. If the residual risk is high, it will be tolerable or unacceptable risks. After evaluation, now let's decide on precautions. Eliminate the hazard. For this, remove the source of risk. This is not possible all time. Create a safe place. This can be done by engineering solutions and by usage of personal protective equipments. Create a safety for personnel by safe working methods and safe behavior on site. Priorities and time scales. For high-risk operations, high priority should be given. For low risk, less priority. But this does not mean that you should leave out any small risks. Everything should be given attention. Record your findings and implementation. Significant findings should be area assessed and hazards. People at risk. Evaluation of risks and existing control measures. Then what are the precautions needed? Date of assessment, name of competent person and review date must be included. Okay, let's move on to risk assessment review. Do you know when it has to be reviewed? If there is a change in technology, that is, if there is an introduction of new process or plant. Organizational changes. If the key personnel like CEO or MD has been changed. Legal changes, introduction of new rules and guidelines. When type of work carried out changes. When requested by a third party such as insurance or co-clients. When policy is no longer effective. Then it is reviewed by consultation of workforces, or if any enforcement action has been taken and when its validity gets over. Now you must have got a brief idea about risk assessment. Please subscribe and hit the notification button for further topic updates. Stay safe, stay healthy.